Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the What's in the Pod podcast. On this episode, we are going to be talking about some films from one of my personal favorite directors, a Mr. David Lynch, or Fincher.
Fincher?
Yeah, David Fincher, that's the one. Who the hell's David Lynch? I don't know why that name popped into my head. As always, I am joined here with my brother from another mother, Michael. Michael, say hi to the folks at home.
Hello.
And there you have it. So, it's been a while since we've done one of these. How you been?
David Lynch is also a director. He's just a different one.
No, I know. David Lynch is awesome. He made Baby Driver, and he made Red Velvet. He made
The Cake? That shit's
Rune.
disgusting.
Rune was pretty good with those giant worms and the boils.
Elephant Man? That was a good one.
That's actually a movie he made. I think you mean the Giraffe Man. Two and a half Giraffe Mans.
David Fincher.
Yeah, and I think of the movies we're going to talk about today, we should start off with. I would put this movie.
Should we go in numerical order?
Oh, I see what you're doing there. I already know where you're headed with it. So this is a movie that's part of a vast amounts of movies, starting with one. One was a good one. Two was the sequel to one. But the movie we're talking about is Seven. I would put this movie in my top 10, personally. I would put it at number 6 in my top 10. Not really, though. I actually would put this movie somewhere in my top 10, though. It's just, I always change up from day to day what movies I love and movies I don't.
Would this movie be in your top 10 then? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but the joke is that I was going to put it in slot number 7, but I said 6 instead. You know, it's been a long day. Not all my jokes are going to hit. So anyways.
Well, I mean, you know why 6 is afraid of 7, right?
Because it's a bigger number. Not because 7, 8, 9, because that's a stupid fucking joke.
No, I was actually going to say because the bad guy in 7 is pretty fucking scary.
Oh,
So.
the guy who turned out to be a real life rapist?
Yeah, well, now I'm not gonna... Wait, actually, is this past... Yeah, okay, 95. Yeah, it's a fucking spoiler. Guess what? It's Kevin fucking Spacey.
It is Kevin Spacey. Well, it's not really a spoiler because it's not like his character has anything to do with the movie until the very end, when it's revealed that he is the John Doe character. And the John Doe character is supposed to be a nameless, faceless figure to begin with. So by giving him a face that's as plain as Kevin Spacey's is in the movie, they're not really even giving him an identity to begin with. Even though he has a face, he still remains just a concept or an idea by the end of the movie, which is almost more terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the one thing I really appreciate that this movie does is from its very opening, it's very kind of grotesque and bleak, showing the opening scene with the fat man face down in his like bowl of food. It's just a very disgusting thing to see and open a movie with, and it's constantly raining, which just adds more of a dreariness to the film. And I don't know if you noticed this, but some of the only times that it's not raining are when Brad Pitt's wife is around, which I thought was interesting, especially at the end of the movie when it's
That was
bright.
also a fact that I read online.
What?
What you just said, because you read that online as well.
No, I didn't read that online, actually. I've just seen this movie like 1,000 times.
I witnessed it.
I seen it myself.
Because she is a symbolism for purity.
I can see that. Yeah, because the only happy moment in this movie is the diner sequence when she's talking to Morgan Freeman towards the end of the last time we see her.
Yeah.
And then the scene when they have dinner at the house.
And then they start laughing because the fucking drone outside rattles their whole apartment.
How does he say it? The relaxing, vibrating home.
And then he starts laughing like only Morgan Freeman could laugh. Very
And
high
then Brad
pitched.
Pitt's just like, it's not that funny. Shut
It was
up.
pretty funny though.
It was
If I were in the
fucking
room, I'd be
funny.
like, Brad, It was pretty funny.
I would just be laughing because Morgan Freeman's having such a good time for once.
He is.
He's so serious in this movie.
Fun. It's really cool to see, Morgan Freeman kind of in his element. But, I think that the tandem of the two, Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, was pretty awesome. For a, detective crime drama, it's always good to have a good yin and yang, so to speak. Because there's always two. Any sort of, like, detective cop movie that you see, there's always two.
Well, and...
kind of like the Sith. So basically, like, Morgan Freeman is Sith.
And the fact that Morgan Freeman is more of the overthinker. He's very methodical, and he's getting ready to retire, so he's at the end of a long career. And Brad Pitt's the new gung-ho, eager rookie.
Happy to, not necessarily happy to be there, but he's eager to be there. He's excited about it, whereas Morgan Freeman has been there. He's seen it, so he's more wary. He's more, methodical and thinking and stuff like that. He's more cautious, and Brad Pitt is more, excitable. Brad Pitt's like a puppy.
Which
the dude's basically like a puppy.
Would you say that Brad Pitt's kind of eagerness on his job is what ultimately led to his downfall? Because he was more of the target in the film by the end of it, because he kind of had that tendency for anger throughout the whole movie with kicking down the door because he got bested in the chase. He always has like moments where he kind of lashes out, and then obviously Spacey's character kind of preys on this and uses him as wrath by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of always, I've seen this movie at least a dozen times. I think that Brad Pitt's character is symbolic ignorance, because he's goes in guns blazing, and he goes in, thinking that there's a little bit of arrogance to it as well. And I think that's, kind of what triggers into the inevitable, sequence at the end of the movie where, hey, if I'm going to wrap this shit up, I need 7, but I want the 7th one to kill me, and Brad Pitt's character kind of evolved into exactly what the guy wanted.
Yeah. And I wonder if, what I'm wondering with it is if they never got put on the case, then who was going to be Wrath and who was going to be Envy?
Probably John C. McGinley, because that dude's a badass.
John C. McGinley's pretty fucking awesome.
Punching people in the face, because that's what they deserve. That's what they need.
Oh yeah, when they're breaking into the home, or getting ready to raid the home of the guy who's been laying in the bed, they're like, "Stand back! This is what they love to do," and they're going through the house.
Yeah, and John C. McGinley shows up and just starts, calls them dicks. Dicks! You better take a look at this.
Fucking love that dude. But who?
I always like to think that John C. McGinley's character retired from the police force after all this investigation happened, and then became the doctor in the television show Scrubs. Like, the same character just kind of transitioned right over.
Yeah, I could kind of see that, actually. Kind of like the crossover between Malcolm in the Middle into Breaking Bad.
Exactly like that.
But
with a hint less meth.
Yeah,
just a hint,
just
like
a little bit,
like a touch.
And then after Scrubs, he turns into the office manager or the HR dude from Office Space, who loves Michael Bolton.
What do you do here? Yeah.
I gotta say, I'm a huge Michael Bolton fan. But you gotta love the guy sharing his name and all. Yep. He's the best. What's your favorite song by him? Well, I just kind of like them all. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
The other best part of this movie is Arlie Ermy and his whole, when he answers the phone at somebody else's desk and he just goes, "This ain't even my desk," slams it down.
My desk.
Get out of here, this ain't my desk.
That guy.
I love Arlie.
This movie is like chock full of just those like character actors.
Yeah.
I mean, even Mark Boone Jr.'s in it. Leland Orser, who I actually really like. He's the crazy guy who had the knife penis on him.
Yep.
He's in a movie that we have previously talked about, Alien Resurrection.
Yep.
Great
With
flick.
the chest burster popping out of his chest into somebody else's head.
Yep. What's it fucking inside me?
And this movie has Gwyneth Paltrow, who we've also talked about in the past.
Did we?
Yeah.
Is she in Star Wars?
Well, we were asking what's in the pod, and I mentioned it's Gwyneth Paltrow's head.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I guess we did.
Which, if anybody knows anything about this movie, Seven, they would know this is where we get the title of our podcast. The What's in the Pod podcast is the end of the movie Seven, where Brad Pitt goes, "What's in the fucking box?" Which is also something that we say every single Christmas. I'll give you a box with something, you'll give me a box, and we'll go, "What's in the box?" And here we are years later making a podcast for 3 people to listen to.
3.5, as we've recently found out.
Oh, that's right. Our mom listens to half the episodes and doesn't finish them.
Zinger.
You know what? She's a nutbag.
Though I did talk to Mother recently at
Mother dearest,
during Christmas time, and she did say that she felt like there wasn't enough profanity on this show.
Did she really fucking say that?
I don't want to mince words, but I do believe the direct quote was, "Yo, they ain't enough bad language."
That sounds like Mom, but I don't know if she really said that or not. Huh.
Well, I feel like you can kind of take my word for it.
I don't think I should. Although it sounds exactly how she would say it.
317,000 times in your life, so maybe you should just trust me.
Did you hear what I said, though, earlier?
About Gwyneth Paltrow's head being in the box, and that's the name of our podcast based off this movie, because we always say, "What?"
No, when we brought up Mom not listening to the podcast, and then I said that's because she's a nutbag.
I don't understand the reference.
It's from the fucking movie, Seven. They're like, you shouldn't dismiss him as crazy. He's not crazy. He's a nutbag.
He's a nutbag.
It's like the second best line of the movie.
It is funny how Brad Pitt got the fucking Cliff Notes versions of all those books and shit that he was supposed to read or look at.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the guy that gives them the paperwork and whatnot, he's
Mark Boone Jr. I swear to God, if you don't know who that is, I'm driving down to Arizona and I'm gonna probably hang out with you for a little bit.
Yeah, he was in John Carpenter's Vampires.
Wait, what?
John Carpenter's Vampires. He gets ripped in half.
What?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I need to buy that movie. I don't know how I don't have it. I've been meaning to get it forever.
Yeah, he's in that, and he's in 30 Days a Night. But yeah, he gets ripped in half and fucking.
Yeah, he definitely is in 30 Days a Night. That is one of my guilty pleasure movies.
That movie's great. That's not even a guilty pleasure. That's just a good movie. It's a guilty
pleasure for me. Because I read the comic books because they're fucking awesome. And the movie came out and I was so excited. I was probably one other people in the theater watching it, and I was fucking hooked. I thought that movie was great. It's way, way underrated.
Yeah,
but I could seriously go off on a tangent on that, but we don't need to be doing that.
Well, it is directed by David Spade, which is kind of cool.
If you replace the P with an L.
Haha, gotcha. But anyways, so, yeah, Seven is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. I personally would give it a 7 out of 10. It looks like Brad sent in his review for these David Fincher movies. Brad is our other brother from another mother.
Yeah, can't wait to hear this one.
He gave this movie a 10 out of 10. He said that it helped him learn to count, and that he really liked the ending.
That's good. Yeah, I love this movie too. I think it's definitely in my top 10, if not top 5. It's one of my favorites, and yeah, it's just one of these days I'm gonna get around to it. But I've never actually seen 1 through 6. One of these days, though, I'm gonna check those out.
I always look for them at the store, but I've never seen copies of them.
They're not there.
Yeah,
it's weird.
I guess you could say they're gone, girl. Let's go on to that one.
Oh,
you like that transition? So yeah, we're gonna start talking about Fight Club now.
Yep.
Nope.
Another one of my favorite movies. Top-ish. It's up there.
Wait,
I like
are we doing Fight Club or are we gonna do Gone Girl?
I don't freaking know. We're off script.
Shit. Well, let's go to Fight Club because I actually just watched Fight Club earlier today, sort of.
Well, are we? Wait. Okay. So now I'm confused. Are
Let's
we
just-
actually going to our Fight Club that we're not supposed to talk about, or are we going to talk about Fight Club that we're not supposed to talk about?
I think we should just put the movie Fight Club and the movie Gone Girl together and just review Fight Girl. And
Okay.
add in little pieces of each movie and pretend like they're one movie.
I dig it.
So Fight Girl, starring Tyler Perry as Medea, is probably one of the best movies of the year that it was released.
Yep.
And it turns out he was beating himself up the whole movie, and that
The whole movie.
Medea was just a character in his head. Medea did not exist, even though he met her on a plane, and she was talking about how oxygen gets you high. And,
Goddamn. The worst part about your joke right there is I totally forgot that Tyler Perry was actually in the movie Gone Girl.
yeah, that's why it's funny.
Well, it's funnier now that I remember that, but it wasn't.
That was
funny
the
when we
whole
first
point.
Started talking.
I have
Do
it
you
on.
want to redo it? Do you want to do it again?
No, I actually have Gone Girl on in the background right now. They
No,
just.
you don't. Shut up.
No, I do. Ben Affleck's
Oh.
looking all sad, and Tyler Perry's looking very sophisticated. And they just got done with their first interview.
So Ben Affleck looks like himself, is what you're saying? Boom.
He looks like
Roasted.
sad Affleck. It's kind of funny because
get it.
when they were coming out with the Batman movie version he was in of the movie, he kept saying like, "I wouldn't do this movie unless I believed in it," and then it got bombed by the critics. People were talking about how
Dawn of Justice was Dawn of crap.
well, just by the critics though. I think fans still appreciated it, but critics just
I did.
ripped it to
I thought it was pretty
fucking
good.
shreds. And then
Well,
Ben
the same
Affleck's
thing
just
with,
like,
with
yeah.
Justice League. I mean, I actually thought Justice League was pretty cool, but apparently all the critics and shit thought it was stupid.
Yeah. Well, I have theories
mean-
about that because I feel like a lot of the Marvel movies get paid out because every single Marvel movie has a 90% or higher on Rotten Tomatoes, and
I mean, they are all pretty good, though.
not all of them. I mean, most of them
One
are.
that isn't good.
Name one.
Go ahead. I'll wait.
Um,
Exactly. Shut up.
Iron Man 2.
No, what?
I didn't think that one was very good from my memory.
Iron Man 2 was one of my favorites. It had Sam Rockwell in it. You take it fucking
Avengers
back
Age of
right
Ultron
now.
was boring as shit.
No. James
Yeah.
Spader, thank you very much.
David
He was
Spade wasn't in that movie?
fantastic. No, James Spader
Oh.
was in that movie. And
Aren't we?
he was
We're supposed to be talking about
fantastic.
fucking Gone Girl.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, Gone Girl. Another David Fincher movie.
Very good movie.
This is actually one of the movies in recent memory. When it came out, I watched it twice on the same day because I was just fucking blown away by the whole roller coaster ride it takes you on. Because the best time to watch this movie is the first time you see it. When you don't know anything about it, you don't know what's going to happen, what's coming. Because this movie really is just like twist after twist after twist after twist. And then the ending just kicks you in the balls and makes you feel horrible. And I fucking love it.
It was good to see, though, at the end of the movie that, you know, not necessarily justice was served, but you know that, like, it's about to go down.
What do you mean about to go down? Ben Affleck's character gives up on life, basically, and is going to pretend to be in love with his wife just so people don't...
That for the time being.
For the time being?
Just
what do
you
you mean?
wait. See, my mind starts going, I was like, hey...
Gone Girl 2.
See, Gone Girl 2, The Gonening.
No, they call
gonna
it
be a good flick.
Gone Girl 2, The Gone Guy, when Ben Affleck dips out and pretends like he was murdered. And
Yeah.
Rosamund Pike has to go out and find him.
Yeah. See, that would be friggin' awesome.
And then Tyler Perry returns as Medea.
Stop saying that.
No, because that's the only... I really do think Tyler Perry did a good job in this movie, but I can't help but see Medea every time he pops up on screen.
And yeah,
It's
it is
really hard
unfortunate,
not
but
to.
I mean, it's the same thing with like the Star Trek movies when he was in them.
Was he?
I was just like, yeah, he was part of like the council or something like that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Shit.
But yeah, just anytime I see him like in a movie in a serious role, it's like he does a great job, but it's like you just kind of sit there thinking like, dude,
No,
where's
I'm
the
not even
wig
joking.
and
Like
glasses?
he really is a great actor. But yeah, I can't help but think of Medea, and that's not necessarily a bad thing because I think Medea is like this generation's Ernest. Because you have Ernest Scared Stupid, Ernest Goes to Jail. Now you have
Yes,
Medea
that's
Goes to
good.
Jail, Boo 2, a Medea Halloween.
God.
Trust me, I know my Medea films.
Oh my god.
But anyways, what I'm trying to say is Gone Girl's a great movie.
Yeah,
Just almost,
Gone
just
Girl's
not
definitely
as
great
good
movie.
as a Medea film.
It's not well, not quite as good. They're different. I think they're a little bit different demographics,
Just a little bit.
yeah, Gone Girl is definitely a movie that's like it's one that I wish I have seen again. I've only seen it once, and it was quite some time ago actually. But it is definitely one that I want to watch again because I really enjoyed it the first time around. Thought it was really good. David Fincher, all of his movies kind of just have that sort of not necessarily like sad tone to it, but he's got just a way of like his filmmaking style just draws you into everything that you're watching. Like you really, it's one of those like he's the type of director that anything he's got, you sit there and you're just like, it's like you're in the story. Like you get so focused in on the details and the minor things that come across the screen.
Well, a lot of that has to do with I think he's been using the same editor, but like his team that he gets together, whoever his cinematographer is, whoever the editor is, whoever his colorist is, because what you're referring to, he started off in Alien 3 with his very kind of like bleak style of filmmaking. Everything's very nihilistic in his movies. Like there's really no sense of hope in most of his movies. Even his happier movies, like Social Network and stuff like that, where it's a little more lighthearted than something like Gone Girl or Seven, but it still has that kind of bleak nihilist nature to it, where even in Social Network, where it's like David Zuckerberg disregards his friends in the end and just kind of looks for his business more so than he does for personal relationships. That's a very like nihilistic approach on life. And that's what a lot of his movies.
Did you say David Zuckerberg?
Did I? Yeah, David. I probably did just say David Zuckerberg.
Yeah. Fucking dumb.
The director of Airplane Berg.
Yeah, there you
go. It should have been David Zuckerberg, because that would have made Social Network a lot more of a lighthearted movie.
That is very true.
That would have been hilarious. But yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's character in the movie is more disregarding just relationships in general, and
yeah,
just all of David Fincher's movies have a very nihilistic element to them. Like Gone Girl.
Yeah, they definitely do. It's one of those things. Like I said, it's I don't know if it's just the style, the way that his storytelling works.
Well,
but,
and it's the stories that he chooses too.
Every single movie, you're on the like I'm on the edge of my chair. I know exactly what happens in almost every sequence in the movie Seven. I could watch it tonight and just be focused in, ready to go, and excited. The highs and lows of the movie, no matter how many times I've seen it, I'll ride the roller coaster up, down, all and around. It has my attention every time I watch it.
Yeah, and he's actually only been nominated for like 2 Oscars, and that was for Benjamin Button and Social Network. Like most of his best movies, he got like nothing for.
And it sucks because that's back in the '90s when most of his bigger movies that people know about now are coming out. Well, maybe mostly just Seven and Fight Club, but you look at that year. What else came out in 1995 that got nominated for Oscars?
I think that was the year after Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump and all that.
It was the year of, I believe, Forrest Gump. So that kind of overshadowed just about everything.
No, Forrest Gump was 94. It got nominated in 95, though. I know my Forrest Gump.
Wouldn't that have been the same thing as Seven, though?
No, because 7 came out
Oh,
in
no, it
95.
came out, so we'd be looking at 96.
Yeah, 96 Oscars.
So you're talking about... Oh, no, okay. Well, I stand corrected. Basically, David Fincher got hosed.
Yeah. Because what was the winner, like French
Hosed.
Connection?
Well, okay, well, no, I scrolled down. Directing Braveheart. Fair.
Oh, yeah,
But
that did come out in 95.
I mean, the other nominees, though, I mean, okay, Dead Man Walking,
No.
Babe, are you fucking kidding me?
Wait, Babe?
Yeah, Babe.
With the pig? Do you know who made that?
Chris Noonan?
No. The guy who made Babe is George Miller, who made... all the movies in his career is Mad Max, Road Warrior,
screenplay,
Beyond Thunderdome, and then he made Babe and Happy Feet 1 and 2, and then he came back and made Mad Max Fury Road. Those are the 7 movies of his career.
Basically, David Fincher didn't get a nomination for 7 because Chris Noonan got nominated for Babe.
I'll accept that.
What?
That'll do, pig.
Please.
That'll do.
Oh my god. I'm going to go off on a tangent right here because you're looking at, like, this year, 12 Monkeys. I mean, where's the directing nomination for that?
12 Monkeys over here. There's 12 Monkeys
awesome.
over here.
I love that fucking movie.
12 Monkeys.
Leaving Las Vegas?
12 Monkeys is
Get out of
amazing.
here. The Postman? Fuck off.
Wait, none of these got nominated? Or they did?
No, those did get nominated. But they got nominated for Best Director. That's stupid. I hate it. The awards are stupid. They
are.
dumb.
Well, you can always tell what's going to get nominated just based off of what it's about and the era of what's going on and critic reviews, basically.
Well, that's what kind of actually currently irritates me about the movie Vice. I really want to see it. I think it's going to be great. But it pisses me off that everybody's like, oh, that's going to be like an Oscar-nominated movie. It's like...
Before it even comes out.
It hasn't even come out yet. What the fuck?
You can just tell what movies are going to get nominated just based on what they're about and just when they're released.
Basically, any serious movie that comes out in the month of, like, November through January. Hey, guess what? It's probably going to be nominated for something.
Do you know who's in Vice? He plays Colin Powell.
Colin Powell, yeah. Oh, crap, I knew it. It's on the tip of my tongue. I swear to God, if you say Tyler Perry, I'm punching you in the throat.
It is Tyler Perry.
Yes,
Tyler
I
Perry.
knew it.
Yeah, buddy.
Sam Rockwell is George W. Bush.
Sammy Rockwell.
Just give him all the Oscars. Give him all the awards. It doesn't even matter. Art direction, cinematography.
I'm pretty sure Christian Bale's going to get it. The dude put on like 100 pounds for the role.
He'd be supporting now. Sam Rockwell would be supporting, so he's not up for
I see what you mean.
Actor.
I thought you meant Christian Bale would be supporting. I'm like, no, it's about his character.
No, Christian Bale's the main dude.
Yeah. Main dude of the movie, not the president. He's the vice president. That's the title of the movie, Vice. But anyways, Gone Girl was a good movie. Let's move on to Brad's score. Looks like Brad gave it a 10 out of 10. He said, this movie is kind of jumbled together.
Is it jumbled together, or are you making it up on the spot?
A little bit of both. He said that this movie is gefilte.
Did he sneeze?
I don't know. I don't know if he means like gefilte fish or what the fuck he's trying to say. I don't know. Let's move on to... let's just do Zodiac next. Hell yeah.
Did we finish up with Fight Club, though?
We'll do that one last.
Oh.
Save the
spoiler alert.
Worst for last.
What? Get the fuck out of here. That movie's fantastic.
You're a nutbag.
You're a nutbag.
But yeah, Zodiac. Obviously
awesome.
About the Zodiac Killer.
Obviously.
Hence the title. Spoiler alert. There's murders in the film.
Lots of them.
Actually, there's not that many. They are probably... Because when I was telling you this story earlier, when I first saw this movie, I saw it in theaters. And that was 2007-ish, 2008 maybe.
I don't know if you were old enough to see this movie in theaters when it came out.
No, I saw it with Brad. Because I remember him taking me to see it because, he was a good brother and took me to movies when I was younger.
Dude, I took you to movies all the fucking time.
It's debatable. But anyways,
No, actually,
I remember seeing it.
Totally did.
I saw it in theaters, and I remember not liking it because I thought it was kind of boring. But I was also really young and stupid, and couldn't appreciate the movie. And then a couple years later, I watched it again, and this actually probably is one of my favorite David Fincher movies because it's so fucking good from beginning to end. The way they go through the story and the way that the murders are like 10-minute sequences, and they're tense from beginning to end. Because you know exactly how the scene's going to end, but the fact that the killer is just standing there, he's just a faceless figure, and they usually do it in like one shot, where he'll just like approach a couple on a like their picnic at a river, and he just like appears out of nowhere and then starts making them handcuff themselves and lay down on the floor, and it's extremely tense the entire fucking time, and it's just creepy. And the way that they do it is just, I can't really explain it, but it's perfect. The way that the movie just kind of like unravels itself and then gets really slow in the middle. And everything seems safe almost.
The way that the story kind of plays out, but I think that, to me, I don't know if they did, but it wouldn't be surprising to me if, like, they didn't allow the actors to sleep much in between takes and days and stuff like that, because everybody seems worn out, and it seems like if you're caught in the thick of that, like in the, you know, the news reporting station that they worked in, or police department, whatever, you know, all of that stuff, you'd think that they would not be sleeping during this time, because you never know when the next, killing is going to happen, or the next letter is going to come through.
Yeah, and they capture that really well. And like even towards the middle of it, when Jake Gyllenhaal's character is trying to play detective and trying to figure out everything, because he likes solving puzzles, so he kind of looks at this as like a challenge, and he unknowingly gets himself wrapped up in the middle of it. And he's trying to go door to door, find like clues and whatnot, and he actually thinks he's in the house of the killer at one point, and he kind of like recognizes some signs, like, holy shit. Like, he's putting two to two together.
The creepy movie guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that. That guy was so creepy.
Yeah, it's a cool-ass scene. But, like, even in the middle, like, stuff feels safe, but then, because the killing stopped. And then it's, like, years later, and he's still trying to figure out this mystery. But then things aren't safe, though, because this killer's still alive. And by the end of the movie, everything goes completely unresolved. Once again, very nihilistic. And they think that they found the guy, but he's never arrested because they can't put anything on him. He has a bunch of alibis. And then it's just a mystery. Like, that guy's still alive and out there.
That plays to the story of the actual Zodiac killer.
Yeah.
As far as I know, they still don't know who did it.
No, they have theories and whatnot, and everybody wants to say they know who did it, or, hey, it was my father. And
yeah, and then, the other part that, the movie plays on quite a bit is, that other people were claiming to be the Zodiac killer when they were killing other people, or people were trying to take credit for it and stuff like that. So
yeah, because it was so popular.
I mean, hey, if the Hulk can't figure out what happened, we'll never know.
The great Mark Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo.
Great Mark Ruffalo.
Great Mark Ruffalo.
Great Mark Ruffalo.
Why do you guys keep whispering that? Great Mark Ruffalo.
It's very helpful. Thank you.
Great Mark Ruffalo.
Great Mark Ruffalo.
That's probably the best reference we've ever had.
It's good.
Almost like it's from some...
I do that to Samantha a lot. I'm always like, Great Mark Ruffalo. She's like, I still don't know what that means.
It's almost like we're referencing some sort of hot tub time machine.
Yeah, it's like as if we got in a hot tub and went back in time and Chevy Chase showed up. But, who am I to point fingers?
Wait, so you're telling me we need to get this Chernobyl, and then that's how we can go back in time? Well, I'm not telling you that's how you do it, but if that was the way you did it, then I'm not going to say no. Why do you have to always speak in riddles?
Oh my God, I hate that movie so much.
It's so fucking good, though.
It is pretty funny.
The sequel was pretty terrible, but god damn was that first one great.
Yeah, I have not braved the sequel quite yet. I don't think I'll get to that point in my life.
It's not that great. I mean, there's funny moments. It's just not as good as... Like, Hot Tub Time Machine was just so stupid, but they did it really well. and
Yes.
made it just really tongue-in-cheek and goofy and whatnot. And it just worked. Unlike Zodiac, which is extremely serious.
Super serial.
It's very on point.
It is.
Yeah. And
And it was
actually,
definitely a turning point in Mr. RDJ's career.
yeah, Robert Downey
It
Jr.
It was that comeback.
Yeah, right before, I think it was the year before he got the Iron Man role, wasn't it? Because what was Iron Man, like 2006? Or yeah, it was 2008. So this is a year before he got that.
Well, that was the thing. I think that, because he was in some other stuff, like here and there, but this was his first kind of, like, larger role that he, kind of put him back into the limelight, so to speak, because nobody's seen A Scanner Darkly, even though I thought that movie was fucking great.
And I haven't seen that since that was in theaters either. I haven't seen that in a very long time. But he was also in like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which was really good. That movie's actually amazing.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
What?
Good Night, Good Luck. I don't think I've actually seen that either.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is amazing, and I'm not even just saying that. Like, I love that movie. You need to watch it.
I just haven't seen it.
It's directed by the guy who was in Predator.
Oh God, Shane Black. I just saw it as you were saying it.
Yeah.
I haven't braved the new Predator movie yet, but I actually thought The Nice Guys was fucking great. I like that movie.
The Nice Guys with Russell Crowe?
Yeah, Russell Crowe and Gosling.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie is pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, I saw that one. I liked it. The new Predator movie, though, I personally didn't think it was terrible just because I expected it to be really stupid. And it is extremely stupid, but other people hate that movie with a passion. And I can understand why.
It's not a Marvel movie.
Maybe. I can understand why people don't like the new Predator movie, but I liked it just because it was really, really stupid. And Thomas Jane had Tourette's, which is always a plus for me.
Huh.
But don't expect it to be a good movie, because it is probably the worst of the series. Probably even worse than Predator 2.
I don't expect it to be a good movie. That's why I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. But, yeah, so, Zodiac. I fucking love this movie.
It is a great movie.
Very, very bleak. It's a slow movie, but if somebody goes into it knowing that it's going to be a slow movie, and I don't mean slow in a bad way, I mean slow in, like, this is probably the best case example of a slow burn movie you could watch. Because everything,
there's so many different angles, so many different stories to tell.
Yeah, and the fact that there is no resolution in the end, but that is okay. That's its own resolution. That's the point of the movie, is the fact that it's a mystery, and it'll never be solved, and that's what makes it creepy.
Super creepy.
Yeah, fucking amazing. But anyways, let's move on to... Did you want to talk about Social Network more? We kind of brought it up earlier.
I mean, we could. It's definitely one that I really enjoy. I thought it should have won Best Picture, because that was one of the years I actually got to attend the AMC Oscar Showcase thing, which every year I'd love to do it, but I usually have to work.
Rewatching all the movies that are nominated?
Yeah, you get to see them in theaters. Like, they watch them back to back. You do it over, like, 2 weekends. It's actually pretty cool. And I thought that movie should have won, but unfortunately it didn't.
Yeah,
I want to say, too, that was the first year that they had, 10 nominees or something.
Yeah, that was the year with Black Swan, Inception, 127 Hours, The Fighter, which I would argue that The Fighter could have won over Social Network. King's Speech was a good movie, but I haven't had an urge to rewatch it since.
No, and it was a good one. It didn't quite get there for me.
Yeah, like, I could rewatch Black Swan a million times. I could rewatch The Fighter a million times. I could rewatch Inception a million times. And I could also rewatch Social Network a million times. I could even watch Toy Story 3.
Was in there too. True Grit was fucking great.
I didn't really care for that one as much.
What?
But Toy Story 3 I could watch a million times.
Yeah.
127 Hours.
Okay. I think that was kind of like an independent choice that they had to, like, oh, we gotta make these guys happy.
You know who's in that movie? The great Mark Ruffalo.
And Winter's Bone was kind of the creepiest movie I've probably ever witnessed. Seriously, just the whole movie, it was an hour and 40 minutes of thinking, is this the scene that Jennifer Lawrence is going to get raped in, or is that coming in the future?
Oh, are you gonna, I thought you were going to say...
Like, at some point in time, I kind of feel like this chick's going to get raped, because everywhere she goes, there's just like a bunch of dudes, and it's like, is she gonna get raped? Because I don't know, just weird. Didn't like it. Didn't care for it.
Was her name Winter in the movie?
I don't think so.
Because Winter's boned.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
I just went there. But
so, do we have Brad's score for Zodiac?
Oh, yeah, that's right. It looks like, let me look it up on my computer. Enhance. Would you just print the goddamn paper?
Just print the goddamn thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But it looks like Brad gave it a 10 out of 10. And he said, I really wish that the movie told us who the killer was.
Yeah. That would have been nice. Because
I guess, but...
I would imagine there's still some people this day that are trying to figure out who it was.
I mean, it kind of sounds like Brad didn't understand the movie, though.
Well, I could probably say that about most of his...
That's true.
His things there. I mean, just I think we've done how many movies? Maybe 50.
67.
50 of them are 10 out of 10. I kind of feel like somebody might not be doing their homework and they're just phoning it in. But
yeah, didn't he give like Alien 3 a 10 out of 10? What else did he give a 10 out of 10?
Well, I mean, Alien
Survival
3
of the Dead.
So you can't blame him for that.
Survival of the Dead, he gave a 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah, that one was that's one of the ones that I a little. Are you sure? And maybe he's not understanding the rules.
Maybe he just gives everything a 10 out of 10, but he means a different score, because sometimes he says he doesn't like the movies, but he gives them a 10 out of 10. That's really weird.
I don't honestly think I've ever heard the words "I didn't like that movie" out of his mouth.
Not true.
And I've kind of known him for about 32 years.
Looking back on it, yeah. I've known him for like 28 years. Anyways, let's move on to The Social Network.
No.
So...
You're like 12.
We were talking about this earlier.
How could it be 28 years? You were born in 93.
You pointed out that The Social Network was like one of your favorite movies of the year it came out. And I kind of mentioned to you that I can rewatch this movie a million times. And I could sit down and probably watch it every day, like you were telling me. But I don't necessarily know if I like the movie. But I love the aesthetic nature of it, and the way that it's edited is probably some of the best editing I've seen next to the movie Whiplash in like the past decade, because the movie is edited to perfection. It just flows so nicely that you don't even care what the story is about, because it's so nicely put together. That you were mentioning that you could just have it on in the background and run it again and again and again and never get bored of the movie, but never really pay attention to it at the same time. Which is kind of a weird thing to say about a movie that you really like and appreciate, but I don't know, there's just something about it that's very, very aesthetically pleasing. I just don't care about the story so much. Not that it's a bad story or told in a bad way, it's just not necessarily as interesting as his other movies, but it's probably more well made than a lot of his other movies.
Yeah, and I guess I could understand that, but you wouldn't have been able to know Brad for 28 years, because you're not even 26. Because you were born in 93.
Yeah, I agree. Like, David Fincher definitely grew into his own on this one, like you were just saying just a second ago.
Like, you're not quite
and
28.
No, I think David Fincher's made at least like 29 or maybe even 27 movies. It's more than 28.
Oh, he's made a bunch, and we can rattle off a few good ones. But I think Social Network is pretty fucking awesome.
It is awesome.
I thought it was great. And I think it's a little bit different for me because I kind of lived through the unfortunate MySpace, Facebook. The whole thing about Facebook when it first came out is like you couldn't actually use it unless you went to a college that they were allowing access to. So for like quite some time, it was actually exclusive only to specific schools.
Yep.
And then they branched out and they branched out and they branched out. And I thought it was really cool about like the whole, the way that they were coding stuff and building stuff and, kind of creating it from the ground up. And one of my favorite parts of this movie is just, like, it gets glossed over, but they go and see the speaker, because, they're in college, they're in Harvard, they're going to school, and they get the speaker, and the kid outside is, like, trying to act cool, and he's like, oh, what'd you think about that? And he's like, oh, I didn't even know who the speaker was, and Jesse Eisenberg was like, well, I mean, that was Bill Gates. Like,
yeah.
And the kid was like, oh, that makes sense.
He's like, what, are you an idiot?
You're fucking dumb. Like,
you just sat through that whole thing? You don't even know it's Bill Gates?
Yeah. But it's like, it's just those little, like, nuances of the movie. Like, the whole dynamic between the jocks and the nerds. And, the jocks came to the nerds to program and create their quote-unquote idea.
Well, even
the jocks got screwed over because the nerds were too smart.
Even just the dynamic between the Winklevis, the way they kind of did that with the same actor was really interesting. And just kind of like their whole characteristic representation in the movie, like you're kind of getting at.
Yeah. But that's kind of the whole thing. I mean, it's like the funny part is I know that this isn't exactly an accurate representation of how it all went down, but for a storytelling sense, like, the Winklevis went to, the dean of students or whatever that guy was, and they're like, this is going to be like $1 billion thing, and the guy just kind of laughed at him.
Yeah, brushes him off.
It's like, you look at it now, it's like, well, look how much it's worth.
Whoops.
And it's, it's all that part of growing up, which, side note, Armie Hammer, that dude was fucking phenomenal in Sorry to Bother You. I know I told you I recently watched that movie, but I thought he was fucking great. That movie tickled my feather.
Yeah, I really liked that movie, especially that David Cross is the white voice. Yeah. Well, how are you doing today, sir? It is a pleasure to call you.
But yeah, Social Network.
Horse people.
It definitely is a movie that I enjoy watching, and I think that the biggest thing that drew me into it, and the reason why I wanted to see it so bad, and now every movie moving forward that they collaborate on, is Trent Reznor doing the musical score for the movie. The moment I sat down, the moment the credits started rolling and it started playing off, I was like, that is definitely Mr. Reznor's work, and
I'm pretty sure
he won an Oscar for it, which was fantastic. He got recognition, and every movie now that you watch, even going into it not knowing, because there was one and I forget what it was, but I sat down and I was like, Trent Reznor definitely did the score for this movie.
Yeah, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Yeah, I don't think it was that one. I'm gonna look it up real quick, but he just, like,
Seven.
The way that he does his musical scores for movies, or theirs, is just, I mean, it sets the tone for the whole movie, and that, I think, is one of the biggest things that I enjoy about this film the most, because the music, like, the background music, just sets the tone for every single scene, every single shot, every single frame, just ties in the whole thing. If he didn't do the score for this movie, I don't know if I would like it as much as I do.
That's another reason why you should go watch that movie, mid-90s, because he did music for that.
No way.
Yeah. He's the composer for mid-90s.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
The Jonah Hill movie. I saw his name pop up in the beginning.
Oh, wow. Original music by... That is on... Oh, fuck. He's on Bird Box, too. Damn it.
Yeah, I'm not watching... Yeah, don't watch Bird Box. Bird Box isn't that great. But,
that's a bummer.
They also used his music...
Patriots Day. Sorry. Don't mean to cut you off, but Patriots Day. That's what it was.
They did the music for, in Seven, too. They used his song, Closer, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, they used his, the Nine Inch Nails music, but, him and David Fincher collaborate quite a bit, and it was the same thing with, like, Gone Girl,
yep.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, it's really cool to see that, he's kind of, like, getting into movies, because, again, like, every time I sit down, I'm like, holy shit, that's a Trent Reznor score, absolutely.
So let's move on to Actually, it looks like my thing's going to die soon, so we're going to have to rush through Fight Club. Let's get on to Brad's score for...
Social Network?
Yeah, Social Network. It looks like he gave it a 10 out of 10. He said, I really like the movie, but I'm not a big fan of Facebook. I only post on it from time to time, and I don't get a lot of likes. I don't understand why a lot of people get more likes than I do, because I thought I was very popular, but I only get about 3 to 6 likes per post. I don't know what that has to do with the movie, but that's actually really depressing. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, wow. He's not big into the Facebook stuff, but...
No, but apparently he wishes he was. I feel really sad now. Damn.
I'm not that sad.
Well, let's move on to Fight Club.
Fight Club. Mr. Chuck Palahniuk.
I thought it was Palahniuk.
Nope. You're wrong.
Oh. He was actually just on a podcast. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, actually. Yeah, he is a very interesting character, to say the least. He has a story. He has a story that he tells on the podcast because he's explaining how he got kicked out of writers' get-togethers in his local area where he lives because people were just so disturbed by his ideas. And he was talking about how he had this story about these doctors doing an autopsy on a small child, and one of them's cutting open the child and they see the blood, and the guy goes, "That's the color of red that I want to paint my walls at home." And Joe Rogan's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? This dude is fucked up. Because when he leaves the room to go to the bathroom, he even says that. He's like, this dude's really fucked up. But that's Chuck Palahniuk for you. He just doesn't care.
It's funny because I just I've read quite a few of his books. I've loved almost every one of them. There was one I didn't actually like that much. But I don't think he's so much as he's fucked up. He's just such just an interesting person. I mean, his sarcasm level is through the roof, and it's the stuff that he writes, the stuff that he creates. It's just, you can't take it serious. You have to understand that it's there for it's supposed to be fucking funny.
Yeah, it's he has just a very morbid appreciation for life. More so than, I don't think he's, actually insane of a person, but he does have, a morbid kind of appreciation for life in general, which I personally fucking love, because I have a really dark sense of humor, too. That's why I love, Lullaby, his book about, the ghost hunters and the dead babies and all that.
Yep.
And I read Fight Club. I wasn't a big fan of the book compared to the movie. This is one of the few times I much prefer the movie. But, his book Choke, which is about it too, just
Choke is hands down my favorite movie or favorite book that I've ever read.
Yeah, that one's really fucking good. Did you ever read Lullaby though? Because that one's pretty great.
I haven't read Lullaby. I've read Fight Club, Choke, Survivor, which was great, Pygmy, which I did not enjoy, and I just got done reading Damned, which I thought was actually pretty fucking great.
I'm in the middle.
Yeah, I haven't read Doomed yet, but that's the sequel, I guess.
Oh, to Damned?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he's still writing, and I see his books pop up from time to time, but I haven't picked up any, because I was on a Palahniuk binge for a while, and I'm actually in the middle of reading, what's it called? It's one about the porn star who gets fucked by by 300 dudes, and it's just
supposedly the Lullaby is in pre-production, and they announced that Snuff was going to be turned into a movie. I don't know if that's going to get off the ground.
Yeah, probably not. Just the subject matter.
Yeah,
it's actually
that might be a little risque.
It's quite funny his way of describing things in the book, because there's one character who's a young 18-year-old kid, and he fell in love with the porn star, and he thinks that he's gonna make her fall in love with him during their scene. So he brings her chocolates and flowers before he fucks her. And she's just like, yeah, next.
Yep, we're done here.
It's so fucked up, but it's hilarious. Oh my god. But yeah, Fight Club, probably David Fincher's second best movie of all time. I'd say Seven, Fight Club, and then maybe Zodiac, honestly.
It's funny you say that because I'm surprised your top one wasn't like Panic Room or The Game.
I love Panic Room. I don't know if that's sarcasm.
Actually, both of those movies.
Yeah. Panic Room is awesome. I was actually saying we should talk about that one because it's kind of more underappreciated, but I haven't seen it in years. But I know it's Jodie Foster and Lazy Eye Whitaker, isn't it?
Yep. Forrest Whitaker's in it. Leto's in it. Kristen Stewart is in it.
Jared Leto's
much
in it?
Younger. Yeah, he's in it. I think he's one of the dudes.
Yeah, he is.
That are breaking in.
That's right, and he's in Fight Club too. He plays Angel Face.
Yep.
I just wanted to destroy something beautiful. He beats the fuck out of him.
Well, the other cool thing about Fight Club is fucking Meatloaf is in it.
Yep, he's bitch tits. Jing, show me a soda.
Awesome.
Yeah, that opening scene too. He's like, "It's okay, Cornelius. You can cry.
You can cry." Those big, sweaty, massive tits.
And just like that, I let go, and I started crying.
Yep.
And then Marla Singer showed up. She didn't have testicular cancer. She was a faker. Well, what are you doing at all these events? It sounds like you're faking it too. I need this, Marla. I can't sleep without it.
Edward Norton.
Ed Boon. I was actually talking about Edward Norton with my boss the other day. Because I was talking about his first role in that movie, Primal Fear. Because he kind of just came out of nowhere. And he put in some amazing performances in the 90s, like Primal Fear, American History X, Fight Club. And then apparently he became more of a diva and people started not liking to work with him. But he still makes amazing movies.
Yeah, I didn't realize that part of it, but
yeah, people apparently hate working with him because he tries to direct movies that he's not directing. So they said that happened a lot on like the Hulk, Incredible Hulk that he was on. Like he was trying to tell people like, no, we should be doing this shot, and they're like, no, this is the shot.
Maybe they should have listened to him because that movie was kind of a giant pile of crap.
A little bit.
I mean, come on now. You're talking about the star of Death to Smoochie.
Get my cookie, get my cookie.
That movie is amazing.
It's
my favorite Edward Norton movie, and it will always be. I don't care what he makes in the future. That will always be my favorite.
Get my cookie.
Get my cookie, get my cookie.
It's a rocket ship. Yay! It's not a rocket ship. It's a penis. A one-eyed jiggle daddy.
Mr. Wonder Weasel.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about
Rainbow fucking Randolph.
That movie's fucking great. You know who directed that? Danny DeVito.
Yep.
Fucking amazing.
That movie's great.
And I think is David Blaine in that movie? I'm looking it up and there's a picture of David Blaine.
David Blaine.
Yeah.
I don't see.
David Brown's in it.
David Blaine. I don't think David Blaine's in it.
How the fuck is
Jon Stewart's in it. He's pretty fucking funny.
Who does he play in that?
Jon Stewart?
Yeah, in the movie.
He's like the business guy.
Oh yeah.
He was trying to keep the Rainbow Randolph. Well, he has to cancel Rainbow Randolph because he did the shit that he did.
Yep.
And then he gives him the fucking gift basket in his car. He's like, and Robin Williams is like, you can have that back. You know what to do with the hand lotion, jerk off.
It's actually, even though we're going on a tangent, it's really cool when Robin Williams did darker roles. Like his role in like 1 Hour Photo. I don't know if you saw some of his later roles before he died, like World's Greatest Dad.
I thought that movie was fucking awesome.
That movie's amazing. And one of my favorite lines in movie history comes from that when he's trying to go on a date with the teacher and she's like, we can go get something hot and spicy. And he's like, oh, that's a double entendre. He's like, and then after that, I can put my penis in your vagina. That's a single entendre. That's one of my favorite fucking lines from any movie because it's so just stupid and just simple.
It was pretty funny though.
That's pretty great. And the fact that he's like profiting off of his son's accidental suicide, and it's just a dark fucking movie. But to see him in like those darker roles, you can kind of see that he, I don't know, almost like was more drawn to that or thrived in it more so than like his comedic over the top roles, which he still did great in, like animated movies and whatnot.
Insomnia, The Final Cut, I thought those movies were great.
Yeah, like some of his most memorable performances
even Good Will
are
Hunting.
darker.
I mean, his character wasn't all fucking sunshines and rainbows in that movie.
I actually just rewatched that movie the other day. I love Good Will Hunting. I'm still waiting for the sequel, though. Hunting Season.
Oh, my God.
Good Will Hunting 2. Hunting Season. Take 2. So I'm up to date on shit that you've never even heard of. How do you like them apples? I don't like the sound of them apples, Will. What are we going to do? Hey, Chuck. Yeah? It's hunting season.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do. It's Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
God, I haven't seen that movie in like 47 years.
They're on the set of Good Will Hunting 2, and they're talking to the dude in the bar from Good Will Hunting that he was, when he was talking with Minnie Driver for the first time, and he's like putting the dude in his place like, yeah, you're just rattling off all these quotes from books that trying to pawn them off as your own and whatnot. And then they do that scene again. Come on. But Fight Club. Fight Club. Great movie.
It's a good flick.
It's got meatloaf. It's got soap.
Soap? How you create soap?
It's got splicings in of giant penises.
It does.
It does. That's actually one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It's when they splice it into the children's film and everybody starts crying in the audience. They're like, they don't know what they know what they saw, but they don't know that they saw it. All the parents are looking around like, what the fuck just happened? Just the whole way this movie's like put together, where it doesn't take itself serious like at all, but it's very like animated of a movie, especially with like all those weird CGI transitions where it's like going through the walls and whatnot. And it just has this very weird way of putting itself together where it'll be describing one thing, then it'll kind of like jump cut to like the people when they're told to go out and find somebody to fight, but they have to lose the fight. So they just explain that and then it jump cuts and it's like really happy, upbeat music, kind of childish in a way, and they're all picking fights with people. The way they kind of like do these scenes and like morph them all together, I don't know, there's just something really, really cool about it. The way it's all put together.
Well, yeah, it's just, again, it's his style of directing and, you know, the cinematographers, the editing, everything that just kind of, it culminates into a movie that you're sitting there, like, you're paying attention to the details because there's so much detail in every single shot. Like, it's not even just the actors that are in front of you. It's the background. It's the, you know, when they're, like, loading into the house, you've got, you know, Brad Pitt and Edward Norton maybe having a conversation, but everything that's going on in the background with, you know, all the little, like, henchmen that they got going on, making all the soap, making the bombs, doing what they're doing. It's like, you have to watch it multiple times to, you know, keep up on everything.
Well, not even just that. I mean, like, compared to his other movies, like, Fight Club in particular has its own distinct voice of its own.
Yeah.
Because, like, Seven, which came out just a couple years before, it's much more straightforward. It's a lot more linear of a storytelling. Even Gone Girl and Social Network jumps around a little bit. But those movies are a lot more linear, like point A to point B. Whereas Fight Club's, like, kind of meant to be more... kind of like the character's insomnia in the movie. It's supposed to be more incoherent and kind of confusing, especially the first time you watch it. kind of like you're saying, you have to like watch it a couple times to pick up the details of what the people are doing in the background. And you kind of piece things together more. But the movie itself isn't going to explain that to you. And that's what kind of gives it its own voice, its own kind of like way of telling its own story rather than what his normal style would be. Not that he's too much of a linear director, but he does have more of a point A to point C kind of style compared to Fight Club.
The whole time during the movie, they're trying to keep the secret that they're the same fucking dude.
Well, yeah. But the movie could still be linear in avoiding that. Kind of like The Game. The Game's kind of like that, where there's a big reveal that the whole thing is fake the whole time, but it still has a point A to B to C that it kind of goes through. I don't know. Fight Club's just a lot more incoherent of a movie, but not in a bad way. I think it's meant to be kind of more insomniatic, where things just kind of piece together and they don't really make sense, but you know what's going on, almost. Kind of like the viewer is disoriented, just like the actor.
I get it.
Which is a very smart way of going about it, because a movie like this kind of needs that approach. Because Fight Club is one of those movies that you watch when you get laid off or you're pissed off or something, and you just want to go out there and punch somebody. Not because you're angry, not because you want to hurt somebody, but there's just something like primal about the idea of like going into a basement and beating the shit out of people. Like, these people are just frustrated with life. It's not because they're angry and they want to hurt people. They're just like, they're pure frustration and looking for guidance almost. And like, that's what they find is just like the fight. And I think that's really cool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. But I kind of get it, because that's the same reason why I watch the UFC and do the Muay Thai and shit. Is just, it's not because I want to hurt people. It's just because it feels like you're a part of something. It's something to do. And that's almost like what a lot of people are looking for, is just like a purpose. And these people find it in this Fight Club. But it's also very nihilistic. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Makes sense. I can see it. It's one of those things where your perception of the movie is going to change based on how you view it, because from the get-go, you're sitting there thinking it's two different people, and throughout the movie, they've got hints, they've got suggestions, but you don't pick up on it until the end. And then when you come full circle and realize that, hey, it's the same guy, you're like, oh, that makes a whole lot of sense. Look at the end of the movie. Why the fuck did he, why did he have to hit the breaking point? Why did he have to go into making soap? I mean, the whole thing is, the guy's got problems. He's looking to deal with it. Everybody's got problems in their day-to-day lives. How do you deal with it? You're going to go in a basement and punch people? You're going to make soap? You're going to make a bomb? I mean, who knows? Anything could happen.
Yeah, and everything did happen. They blew up the
definitely
city.
Did happen in this movie.
Literally blow up the city. I love the towards the end of the movie too, when his Tyler Durden side of his personality has tried to stop his nameless character side of his personality by making sure that nobody stops the plans that they're putting into place, not even himself. So he's trying to get things to stop. He's like, all right, I'm calling the things off. And they're like, Mr. Durden, you told us you would say that, and you told us not to listen to you. You also told us that if you said that, to tie you up and make sure you couldn't stop it. It's like, what? And even when he gets into the custody with the police and all that, they're like, it's okay, sir. Everything's going to go off without a hitch. Like, oh, shit, everybody's involved.
Yeah, he covered all his bases, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny how it all just kind of like out of nowhere almost, because he blacks out in the movie and then he wakes up again, and then out of nowhere the movie becomes chaos, like pure chaos, and
but
everyone's
then at the
involved.
End, it's like he's into it. Like once it happens, he's like, okay.
Well, I think when he shoots himself in the head, that he almost like merges the Tyler Durden side to himself rather than getting rid of it. Like like you were saying, he's embracing the chaos by the end. But Tyler Durden was always the chaos. His Jack character was never really. He was always more
the Jack
lost.
Character was the innocence that deep down knew that that's what he wanted to do. I mean, he wanted to I mean, look, the way that he describes his apartment when it, catches on fire. He starts describing all of his furniture and all the crap that it's like.
Yeah, it's all useless.
Yeah, I saw it in a magazine. I had to buy it because that's what you do. And then, deep down, set it on fire. And he's like, it's like his way of kind of becoming free from all the stuff. Like he felt like, well, this is the norm. That's what you do. The norm is you get an apartment. The norm is you buy fancy stuff. You get a job. You keep your job. No matter how much you hate your job, you stay at your job. And you just go through the mundane because that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, like, playing office stuff like that. Because, like, when you're in the office setting, it's like, really, it's all white. There's nothing going on. It's just boring and just drab. And then everything else by the end of the movie is like explosions, the chaos. It's like,
it's exciting.
It's beautiful to look at too, with him and Marla just standing in the window watching it all happen. Like the world just blow up around them.
Make the explosions. It makes a smiley face and
yeah. I don't know. There's something just great about it.
It's a good flick.
Yeah, it is a good flick.
I'd watch it again.
It's almost as good as the first Matrix.
Oh, snap. Oh, that's what we should do next.
No. Well, I'll do the first Matrix. I don't want to do Matrix 2 and 3, because those movies are quite terrible.
Those were awesome.
Yeah, more like stupid.
Stupid if you don't understand it.
I think I understood them, and the Matrix 1 was just a better movie.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's fine, but they're still great.
Like the other ones were just not good.
Not good in the sense that you didn't understand it?
It's debatable. I mean, maybe. I'm not going to say no, but,
I kind of feel like you just didn't understand it.
So you're saying, like, Day of the Dead 2 Contagion can be forgiven because you just didn't understand it?
Great Mark Ruffalo.
Well, everybody. Let's get to Brad's review for Fight Club.
Yep.
Looks like he gave it a 10 out of 10. He said, needed more fighting, but good flick. I
kind of feel like it had a sufficient amount of fighting, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinions.
I mean, I think he broke the first rule, though. The first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah, he kind of did
talk about it. Although that's kind of what we did for the past, 45 minutes.
And what's the second rule of Fight Club? You don't talk about Fight Club. That's rule number 2, isn't it? And then rule number 3, you don't bring outsiders to Fight Club or something.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
It's your first... Yeah, and I love how the next time they're at Fight Club, there's it goes from 30 people to 100, and they're like, looks like some of you guys were breaking rule number 1.
Jeez. Why do we even have rules, guys, fellas? Meatloaf.
Yeah, well, what was his name? Robert Paulson? His name was Robert Paulson. His name was Robert Paulson. His name was Robert Paulson. Maybe in death, people in Fight Club do have a name. His name was Robert Paulson. Great flick. But I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today on our David Fincher episode. And episode 1, The Phantom Man-Ass. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. Deuces.